Have you ever felt totally overwhelmed by life? Like you're just being pulled in a million different directions, losing your sense of who you really are? Today's world can make you feel that way. We're constantly bombarded with messages telling us to focus on external success. Getting richer, looking better, having more status, but at what cost? More and more people are sacrificing their internal values, their moral core, for shallow, superficial achievements. We're told that's what really matters. But as the famous psychologist Carl Rogers said, the good life is a process, not a state of being. It is a direction, not a destination. So if the good life isn't about acquiring stuff or checking boxes, how can we stay grounded? How can we build an unshakable internal foundation, a strong character, to help us live with authenticity and integrity? The answer might lie in an ancient philosophy from over 2,000 years ago, Stoicism. The Stoic thinkers had discovered a roadmap for achieving inner peace and rock-solid virtue, no matter what storms life brought. As the legendary Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." Those words cut deep, don't they? The Stoics didn't just philosophize about having good character, they embodied it through disciplined, daily action. But what does it really mean to be a person of strong, admirable character? How can we ingrain those virtues into our actual lives? That's what this video is all about. I'm going to lay out 10 fundamental Stoic principles that can transform and fortify your character from the inside out. Timeless principles like acceptance, making peace with what you can't control, self-control, mastering your emotions instead of being controlled by them, resilience, finding strength through life's inevitable struggles. And that's just a glimpse of what's coming. I'll guide you through all 10 core principles of Stoicism in detail, sharing real-world examples and practical ways to apply this ancient wisdom to your modern life. You see, the Stoics viewed their philosophy as a comprehensive way of living and thinking, not just an academic exercise. It was a guide for facing life's ups and downs with courage, calm, and integrity. As another renowned Stoic, Seneca, put it, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." By adopting a Stoic mindset rooted in these 10 timeless principles, you can break free from the fears, anxieties, and mental prisons that so often enslave us. You can go inward and build unshakable inner strength. Instead of being battered by stormy circumstances, Stoicism teaches you to fortify your core self through practices of self-discipline, rational thinking, and ethical living. It's a path to deep, bedrock confidence that nothing can rattle. So if you're feeling adrift, lost in the constant turbulence of life, if you're yearning for an unbreakable foundation of inner strength and peace, then buckle up. This journey into the 10 Stoic principles for bulletproof character is about to show you how to tap into freedoms and powers you didn't know you had. It will awaken you to your deepest ability to choose, to determine your life's direction, to thrive no matter what comes. Remember, this is not just a passive viewing experience, it's an interactive experience, and we invite you to actively participate, sharing your perspectives. Stay with us to the end, as this journey promises not just knowledge, but an opportunity for deep self-reflection and transformation. Let's begin. Principle 1. Acceptance. Acceptance is about making peace with life's inevitable changes and challenges. Marcus Aurelius captures this with his words, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it." Here lies the first Stoic principle to strengthen your character: acceptance. So much of the struggle and frustration we experience in daily life comes from constantly fighting against reality and situations that are simply out of our control. Think about it. How much energy and anxiety have you wasted raging against things you ultimately couldn't change? Like being stuck in awful traffic, dealing with someone else's bad behavior, or facing unavoidable financial or health issues. The ancient Stoics took a different approach. To them, acceptance wasn't about giving up or resigning yourself to feeling stuck. It was about making peace with the facts of your circumstances so that you could respond in a calmer, wiser, and more productive way. Imagine you're a sailor out on the open sea. You can't control the direction of the wind or the strength of the currents. Severe storms may roll in that are completely beyond your power to stop or prevent, but by accepting the prevailing conditions around you, rather than futilely trying to defy reality, you're in a much better position to adjust your sails and navigate safely to your destination. Acceptance is the basis for so much more than just inner peace and lack of angst. As the Roman philosopher Seneca wrote, "There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will." When you practice accepting the things you can't change, you free up tons of wasted time and energy that was previously poured into negativity and resistance. Your focus can then shift to proactively influencing the things that actually are in your control. Acceptance isn't giving up or failing to try to improve things you can change. It's simply being able to pivot your mindset to align with the realities already in front of you so you can make the wisest choices and avoid unnecessary anguish. By embracing this Stoic principle, you cultivate unshakable inner calm, wisdom, and the ability to fully dedicate your efforts towards worthwhile goals instead of exhausting yourself in futile resistance to what is. As Marcus Aurelius also taught, accept the things to which fate binds you and love the people with whom fate brings you together. True mastery of life flows from this foundational practice of acceptance. Principle 2. Self-control. Self-control is essential in a world that often promotes instant gratification. Seneca guides us by saying, "No person has the power to have everything they want, but it is in their power not to want what they don't have, and to cheerfully put to good use what they do have." In today's world of instant gratification and indulging every impulsive desire, the idea of self-control and restraint can seem hopelessly outdated. We're constantly fed messages telling us to just go ahead and have whatever we crave right now. But the ancient Stoics understood that lasting happiness, success, and strength of character came from tempering our emotions and cravings with reasoned self-restraint. Real freedom is self-mastery. To the Stoics, self-control wasn't about harsh deprivation or totally suppressing normal human wants and feelings. It was about being able to pause and make a conscious choice before acting, rather than just going with your immediate gut reaction. Think of it like this. Self-control is the mental muscle that allows you to be the driver of your life instead of just a passenger getting jerked around by turbulent storms of greed, fear, rage, or runaway cravings. With self-control, you're free to make rational decisions aligned with your principles and what you truly want in life. You're not just reacting automatically or being hijacked by unhelpful emotions in the heat of the moment. As Marcus Aurelius put it, in most cases, people admire the quality of self-control in others, and what they really admire is the ability to take charge of their own lives. Imagine how differently and more effectively you'd be able to navigate life's ups and downs if you had greater mastery over your impulses and feelings. How much more you could accomplish when not derailed or held back by lack of self-control. This ability to exercise calm, rational restraint in the face of provocation or temptation is an essential part of developing true resilience and fortifying your character from the inside out. As the ancient Stoics showed, self-control isn't about deprivation. It's about self-ownership, wisdom, and freedom from being a slave to your own passing passions and impulses. Principle 3. Objectivity. Objectivity means seeing things as they truly are, free from personal bias. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. Let's face it, we all have our own subjective biases that distort how we see the world around us. Our personal histories, fears, resentments, desires, and assumptions act like tinted lenses, coloring our perception of reality. The ancient Stoics understood that our human tendency toward these limited viewpoints causes all sorts of problems. Poor judgment, inability to resolve conflicts, closed-mindedness, and more. That's why they placed such emphasis on striving to perceive situations as objectively as possible. To the Stoics, objectivity was crucial for cultivating wisdom and being able to take righteous action. It meant trying to remove our ego, emotions, and prejudices from the equation to see facts as they truly are. Think of objectivity as a superpower that allows you to break free from the distorting prison of your own biases and assumptions. It's about stepping outside of your usual way of seeing things to question your subjective viewpoints. The Stoics had daily practices to develop greater objectivity, like consciously pausing to re-examine their snap judgments about situations before reacting. They made a point of actively seeking out differing perspectives to expand their vision. In our age of social media, echo chambers, and cultural polarization, striving for the Stoic discipline of objectivity is more crucial than ever. It's the antidote to the toxic effects of conflict, tribalism, and distorted thinking. As the ancient philosopher Sextus said, "There is only one way to tranquility of mind and happiness. Let this, therefore, be always ready at hand with you, and keep a draft of it to be resorted to as needed." The faculty of objectivity. By diligently practicing objectivity and widening our field of perspective, we liberate ourselves from the blinding constraints of subjective assumptions and biases. We open ourselves to accurately perceive and effectively navigate the full scope of our reality. Principle 4. Resilience. Resilience is about finding strength in adversity. Epictetus' words, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." For the ancient Stoics, resilience meant a lot more than just powering through difficult circumstances with grit and endurance. It was about approaching adversity from an entirely different mindset. You see, the Stoic philosophers didn't view adversity or challenges as unfortunate interruptions to normal life. They understood that difficulties and problems are simply part of the natural ebb and flow of human existence. Trying to resist or avoid hardship, they believed, just leads to more suffering. The wise and resilient approach is to accept that adversity is inevitable and cannot be prevented. But here's the powerful part. The Stoics taught that by maintaining the right perspective, you could transform each difficulty into an opportunity. Every obstacle was a chance to gain invaluable experience, skills, and fortitude. It's like doing resistance training for your mind and spirit. The recovery from each trial makes your resilience muscles just a little bit stronger and more fortified. The Stoics saw adversity as an invitation to rise up and become better. This remarkably positive reframing of difficulties is how Stoic sages were able to endure harsh conditions like prolonged wars, famine, and oppression with such exceptional calm and grace. They didn't just grimly white-knuckle through those storms, they transformed them into sources of growth. The Stoics also worked to maintain perspective through exercises like negative visualization. They would vividly imagine worst-case scenarios to prepare their minds and remove unhelpful fears and anxieties. True resilience, in the eyes of the Stoics, has nothing to do with forcing a fake positive attitude or grinning and bearing struggles through gritted teeth. It's about developing an unwavering inner fortitude by embodying the wisdom that nothing lasts forever, not even your most daunting trials. As the philosopher Seneca wrote, "Fire is hot, iron is hard. These things cannot be overcome by their opposite qualities." The same may be said of adversity. With the power of resilience cultivated through Stoic practices, your difficulties, no matter how formidable they may seem, will ultimately fail to break you. In fact, you'll emerge from them tougher, wiser, and more determined than ever before. Principle 5. Inner peace. Inner peace comes from within, regardless of external circumstances. Marcus Aurelius advises, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Have you ever felt like you were the calm eye in the center of a hurricane? No matter how much chaos and turbulence was swirling all around you, you remained at perfect inner peace, steady, tranquil, undisturbed. This state of profound inner peace and composure, even amid difficult outward circumstances, is a quintessential virtue in Stoic philosophy. The key to cultivating this unshakable inner peace, as Marcus Aurelius taught, lies in not allowing external events and situations to trigger internal storms of stress, anxiety, or unrest within your mind. Think about it. Harsh circumstances, problems, and difficulties are unavoidable facts of human life. They will constantly keep shifting around us in ways we can't control. But while we have no power over what happens on the outside, the ancient Stoics realized that we possess complete control over how we respond on the inside, with our thoughts, perspective, and emotional state. This paradoxical sense of unwavering inner calm and equilibrium doesn't come from living in a utopian bubble free from problems. It arises from honestly feeling and accepting the full weight of life's ups and downs as they occur, while not allowing yourself to become consumed by resistance or unhealthy attachments to their temporary nature. With the virtue of inner peace, you'll remain steadfastly clear-headed and focused even when navigating the stormiest of life's seas. Your actions and decisions will be guided by reason and wisdom, not an unruly mind whipped up in drama and reactivity. As the ancient Stoic Seneca wrote, "There should be no cloud of worry to overshadow our minds, no consuming passion to entrail them, no paralyzing fear. By diligently developing your own unperturbable Stoic stillness at your core, you become waterproof, utterly impervious to being shipwrecked by even the roughest external conditions. True freedom is this inner peace and self-possession that nothing can disrupt. Principle 6. Humility. Humility is about maintaining a realistic sense of our own knowledge and abilities. Epictetus teaches us it is impossible for a person to begin to learn what they think they already know. In a world that celebrates big egos, humility might seem like an outdated virtue for insecure people without confidence. But the ancient Stoics understood humility as something vastly deeper and more powerful than meekness. You see, true humility isn't about putting yourself down or having low self-esteem. It's about keeping an honest perspective on your abilities, knowledge, and place in the world. It's the opposite of ego-driven pride and delusional feelings of superiority. With humility, you remain open-minded and hungry to learn from others. You don't arrogantly assume you have all the answers already figured out. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, it is impossible for a person to learn what they think they already know. When you cultivate humility, you also nurture a willingness to acknowledge gaps in your own understanding. You're able to objectively look at yourself, spot deficiencies or areas for improvement, and then take in new knowledge without feeling threatened or insecure. But Stoic humility goes even deeper than that openness to learning. It's also about striving to honestly study and understand your own flaws, errors, and personal areas for growth as a human being. The humble person approaches life with a beginner's mindset, not an expert's arrogance. By shedding the constant need to prove yourself right or defend your ego, humility allows you to think, speak, and move through life with more thoughtful calm and wisdom. You're no longer wasting energy on silly posturing or image games. The humble person exudes an authentic, grounded confidence precisely because their self-worth isn't contingent on the opinions of others. There's no bravado to maintain or insecurities to overcompensate for. With the virtue of humility, you'll paradoxically find yourself more open to growth, building deeper connections with others and having a greater positive influence. As Lao Tzu wrote, "When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be." By releasing the heavy burdens of ego and arrogance, you become liberated to fully appreciate the depth and richness of the human experience that still awaits you. Principle 7. Sense of duty. Our sense of duty reflects our commitment to living according to our values and principles. Epictetus prompts us to consider, on the occasion of every act, ask yourself this question: how will this action fit in with me being a good person? When we think of duty, we usually just think of our roles, responsibilities, and obligations in life, our duties to family, work, community, and so on. But for the ancient Stoics, duty had a much deeper and more meaningful sense. To the Stoic philosophers, our truest duty was ultimately about striving to live with complete integrity and in total alignment with virtue, doing not just what's expected, but what's right according to our highest ideals. It was a calling to ethical behavior, excellence of character, and conducting ourselves with dignity and honor, no matter the circumstances. As the Stoic Epictetus put it, every circumstance in life to which we must respond provides an opportunity to perceive and act with mindfulness, virtue, and wisdom. Think about it. Even prisoners confined to jail cells had the duty to themselves to maintain virtues like dignity, resilience, and reason. How we respond is always within our control. The Stoics believed that each person has a fundamental obligation first and foremost to our own power of rational thinking, to courageously exercising wisdom, fortitude, and justice in service of what's right, not just mindlessly following societal expectations or personal bias. At its core, Stoic duty is about taking full responsibility for your intentional actions, thoughts, and choices, not just blindly following orders or giving yourself over to laziness or impulses. It's a commitment to actively living with integrity each day, even if that means facing resistance or adversity, to bravely doing what's ethical over what's easy or convenient. Embracing this sense of duty frees you from being tossed around by daily ups and downs. It frees you from needless guilt and anxiety that comes from living in contradiction to your deepest values. With the Stoics' profound sense of duty as your anchor, you'll experience abiding self-respect, moral congruence, and the ability to powerfully elevate and positively impact those around you through your example. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, Waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be. Be one. Principle 8. Wisdom. Wisdom is the application of knowledge to live a virtuous and meaningful life. Marcus Aurelius compares the journey to wisdom with wrestling, not dancing, indicating the effort and engagement it requires. The art of living is more like wrestling than dancing. For most people today, the idea of wisdom can feel pretty abstract and not that useful for everyday life. We tend to prioritize things like gathering information, showing off our intelligence, or collecting academic credentials and certifications. But deeper insight into how to actually live a truly good life? Not so much. But to the ancient Stoic philosophers, wisdom was considered more valuable than just about anything else. It was the ultimate goal of their entire philosophical system and way of life. You see, the Stoics didn't view wisdom as just accumulating a bunch of facts, knowledge, or data points in your brain. To them, true wisdom required going way beyond just knowing things on a surface level. It meant comprehending ideas, lessons, and profound truths at the deepest levels possible, and then embodying and living out those insights in your actual daily conduct and decision-making. As the Roman Stoic philosopher Seneca put it, there's a huge difference between mindlessly reading book after book after book and actually internalizing wisdom. True wisdom means taking great universal ideas and allowing them to become part of your being, leading to an elevated understanding that mere data alone could never produce. The Stoics actively pursued wisdom through practices like relentlessly questioning and examining ideas to discern truth from falsehoods or unsupported opinions, continually studying under authentic teachers and credible thinkers who displayed true insight, rigorously self-reflecting to examine their own flaws, psychological blind spots, and areas for improvement, constantly applying philosophical ideals and principles to real-world situations in their lives. To the Stoic sages, wisdom provided the compass for how to navigate all of life's inevitable ups and downs with excellence, grace, and coherent virtues. It was the bedrock source of sound judgment that allowed them to properly weigh priorities, align with higher principles, and take correct action even amid adversity. As Marcus Aurelius emphasized, the art of living is more like an intense wrestling match than an airy dance number. It demands a kind of wisdom-fueled strength that is resilient and defiant in the face of challenges. With the hard-won cultivation of wisdom over many years, the Stoics developed an unshakable inner resilience, perspective, and courage to keep doing what was ethically right no matter how enormously difficult the circumstances became. Their wisdom made them impervious to being thrown off course by passing fads, social pressures, or herd mentalities. Rather than being constantly yanked around by animalistic impulses and mistaking mere book smarts for true understanding, the Stoics' concept of wisdom provided a kind of bedrock purpose and conviction that was profoundly liberating. Their ability to see things with stark wisdom allowed their actions to be guided by penetrating vision and overarching virtues instead of distorted, nearsighted perception. As the philosopher Epictetus taught, the first step is to develop an incredibly resilient and strong mind. Ceaselessly work to cultivate wisdom. True wisdom is what will allow you to maintain poise and unshakable equilibrium amidst the endless difficulties of life. With a lifelong, sincere, and diligent commitment to cultivating wisdom in the Stoic fashion, the ancient sages steadily transformed themselves at the deepest levels of their inner being. They awakened a kind of ethical intelligence that didn't just make them book smart, but granted them the ability to actually live their lives with moral excellence and profound fulfillment in alignment with rational virtues. As the wisdom-revering philosopher Socrates put it, the only true wisdom is in knowing that you know nothing. This paradoxical saying points to the supreme importance the Stoics placed on maintaining a humble, teachable mindset, free from arrogance or close-mindedness that could obstruct the never-ending pursuit of greater wisdom. The Stoics realized that no matter how much a person learned or how prestigious their credentials, foolishness and lack of wisdom is what allowed people's lives to fall into disorder, disarray, and dissipation, chasing empty pursuits. On the other hand, a wise person, even if they lacked formal education, would be able to masterfully navigate the ups and downs of existence with stability and live a life of profound coherence and satisfaction. As Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, wake up and realize this is not just a drill. recite the principles of wisdom that govern a purposeful life. This realization alone should be enough to strike you with a transformative awe. In the end, the Stoics saw wisdom as the prime virtue and master key that unlocked all the other components essential for living an actualized life. Qualities like integrity, self-discipline, justice, humility, courage in the face of adversity, self-knowledge, and an unwavering devotion to reason and ethical ideals. That's why no amount of money, status, or even outward success could ever compensate for the tragic loss of divorcing oneself from wisdom's guiding light. As the Stoic teacher Epictetus drove home, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. The richest person is not the one who has the most, but who desires the least. So while the masses fixated on chasing empty symbols and the trappings of conventional success, the Stoics focused with profound discipline on cultivating wisdom, knowing that this wisdom alone could grant them the most precious and invincible form of permanent happiness, eudaimonia, and an unbreakable strength of coherent character suited for any situation life brought their way. Principle 9. Courage. Courage in Stoicism is about facing life's challenges with strength and virtue. Epictetus's insight: it is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live. When we think of courage, images of physical bravery or daring feats might come to mind. But the ancient Stoics had a very different and perhaps even more powerful perspective on what true courage is. To the Stoic philosophers, courage wasn't just about fearlessly rushing into dangerous situations. It was more fundamentally about having the fortitude to live according to your highest virtues and reasoned principles, even when it's incredibly difficult or unpopular to do so. As Stoic teacher Epictetus put it, it is difficulties that show what men are. Therefore, when a difficulty befalls you, remember that God, like a master instructor, has brought this crisis for you as a test. Seen through this lens, the truly courageous life is in many ways the same as the Stoic life, making the continual choice to act with integrity, wisdom, and right action no matter what challenges or intimidations you face. You see, to the Stoics, our deepest reality was that we are conscious beings with the unique ability to make reasoned choices and respond based on our principles, rather than just reacting impulsively like animals. This faculty of reasoned choice was both the source of human dignity and also a profound moral responsibility. Courage was fundamentally about using that power of choice to stay true to your virtues in the face of difficulty, criticism, or hardship, not indulging in weakness, fear, or excuse-making that could cause you to abandon your ideals. While Stoics didn't endorse being reckless or carelessly putting oneself in danger, they saw true cowardice in fear-based inaction, or failing to act with conviction out of anxiety about discomfort or outside opinion. As Marcus Aurelius declared, such a person has not yet begun to live. So the Stoics strove to make space for reasoned worry and pragmatic caution, but without surrendering to crippling cowardice or allowing fear to determine their judgments and conduct. By continually building up this reservoir of Stoic courage through practices designed to overcome anxieties and achieve inner freedom, they pursued the ability to remain steadfast and resilient in severing duties and doing what they knew to be right. That's the essence of courage, not the absence of fear, but adhering to your guiding wisdom anyway and mastering those fears rather than being subjugated by them. It's how you truly begin to live. Principle 10. Justice. Justice involves fair and equitable treatment of others, grounded in a sense of moral rightness. Seneca's assertion, the first step in the acquisition of wisdom is to secure the principle of justice. In today's polarized world, the idea of justice can feel like an outdated fantasy or vague platitude. But to the ancient Stoic philosophers, justice was not just an abstract ideal, it was a bedrock ethical principle and way of life. To the Stoics, justice meant far more than just following laws or treating people equally according to their position or status in society. It meant recognizing the fundamental equal human worth and dignity of all people. As the philosopher Cicero wrote, justice means respecting the rights of others while never losing sight of our own rights or allowing others to mislead us from the knowledge of what is rightfully ours. The Stoics grounded their conception of justice in their cosmopolitan view of all human beings as part of one global community, what they called citizens of the world. Through the use of reason, We could transcend petty tribalism and live according to rational, impartial moral truths. So to the Stoics, the just person was one who consciously shed their own prejudices and biases through logic and lived as an exemplar of fair, ethical treatment towards all people. Justice had no room for dehumanizing hatred or oppression. At the same time, the Stoics also emphasized that true justice must start from within, cultivating the personal virtue of acting with moral integrity and compassion, regardless of whether the rest of society was just or not. The Stoics encouraged using reason to gain an impartial, objective moral perspective beyond the warped lenses of anger, fear, and cynicism that often distort our view of justice. They believed steadfastly holding to our principles of good ethical conduct was true liberation. As Marcus Aurelius taught, if it's not right, don't do it. If it's not true, don't say it. Simple wisdom for complicated times. By diligently practicing this virtue of justice in our thoughts and daily lives, we don't just make the world a bit more equitable, we also fortify our own character and emancipate ourselves from personal vices like hypocrisy. As Seneca eloquently put it, as the sun's brightness sets at the same time for all of humanity, so too justice must be equal for everyone. Conclusion. Wow, we covered a ton of powerful wisdom from those ancient Stoic philosophers. I hope learning about their 10 core principles for building super strong character has sparked something inside you. Because let's face it, having resilient virtue and steadiness in the midst of life's chaos and difficulties isn't just an intellectual discussion. It's an essential life skill for thriving through all the turbulence, obstacles, and setbacks we'll inevitably face. You equip yourself with the strongest philosophical armor for handling anything that gets thrown your way. You'll do more than just grit your teeth and survive. You'll emerge victorious with your virtues and spirit completely intact. These principles provide the anchoring foundation and clear direction for stripping away all the distractions and toxic influences that normally cause us to abandon our best selves. Things like fear, insecurity, bias, irrationality, apathy, and obsession with shallow pursuits. Instead, Stoicism empowers you to take full command of your own mind, to live with profound character strength and dignity, unwavered by circumstances or social pressure. Just imagine the unshakable freedom and fortitude you'll experience by truly embodying the Stoic way of life. Mastering acceptance liberates you from wasted angst over things beyond your control. Your energy flows towards productive action instead. Through self-control, you become the conscious pilot of your life, rather than a prisoner to emotional outbursts and passing desires. Objectivity tears off the blinders of defensiveness and bias, restoring your vision of the truth. Resilience ensures you metabolize life's inevitable hardships as fuel for growth, rather than just painfully enduring them. With cultivated inner peace, you move calmly through turbulent storms rather than spinning out in knee-jerk reactivity. The humility to admit faults and ignorance frees you to keep learning and becoming more capable and confident. A sense of virtuous duty empowers you to live with integrity, aligned to your principles, not hollow social expectations. Wisdom gifts you profound judgment and moral clarity to live with purposeful conviction, rather than mindless conformity. True courage allows you to solidly uphold your reasoned principles through adversity by mastering fear itself. And ultimately, impeccable justice becomes your lodestar. You elevate rather than oppress those around you. So, I truly hope this exploration into Stoicism has ignited something powerful in you. A rekindling of your innate potential for resilient character, perseverance, and flourishing despite any difficult storms. Because as Marcus Aurelius taught, everything we hear is just someone's opinion, not facts. Everything we see is just one perspective, not the complete truth. It's up to each of us to fight for our own highest truth and potential by building up our inner fortitude. Stoicism provides the architecture, the hard mortar to fortify those walls. But it's walking this ancient path day by day, no matter how hard, that allows us to transform from flimsy leaf-in-the-wind beings into unbreakable human beings of heroic character substance. So I'll leave you with one final quote from Seneca to light your way. True happiness is enjoying the present without constant worries about the future or regrets about the past. Don't get caught up in anxieties or unrealistic hopes. Just appreciate what you have right now. The greatest gifts in life come from inside us and are within our reach. A wise person is satisfied with their circumstances without wishing for anything more. That's the profound peace and power of living the Stoic way of life. I invite you to embrace this noble, time-honored path so you too can experience its lasting rewards. What lies ahead for those brave enough to start? Just the ultimate human freedoms: freedom from fear, freedom from society's imprisoning opinions, the freedom to live authentically according to your reasoned virtues and highest ideals, and ultimately, the greatest freedom of all, freedom to truly begin living once and for all.